app dynamics, right? So that is a topic of the day. So before
Excuse me.
yeah,
I thought we are going to
Dyna,
learn more on the
dy
Dynatrace non-app dynamics.
or is
correct.
it uh just second. Uh, just give me. I got. Okay, sorry. So my bad. No problem. So we'll have a Dynatrace. No problem. My bad. So
But you prepared for Dynatrace, right? Or App Dynamics?
no, everything is there with me.
See,
Anything.
or we can cover, Nginx, today, and then maybe you can plan
No
for
problem.
the Dynat.
No, no, no. It's okay.
Anything? Okay.
Yeah, I'm prepared with everything. That's okay. So, okay. So can we get started?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry about the confusion. Okay. So let's get started. So Dynatrace. Now, before getting into the Dynatrace, we should understand why you would like to, implement the Dynatrace. What are the primary reasons for it? And the primary reason is observability. Okay, primary reason is to set up a observability. So the question is, what is observability? So if you think, okay, I'm going to install the Dynatrace, I'm going to set up the Dynatrace to monitoring the system, then I think monitoring is dead. This is there from last 20 years, and monitoring is dead. And now we are talking about observability. Okay, so now you may have a questions about what is observability. So here, monitoring tells you whether a system is working or not, whereas observability let you ask why it's not working. So little bit step further. Observability means assembling all fragments from logs, monitoring tools, and organize them in such a way which gives actionable knowledge of the whole environment, thus creating an insight. Okay, so here when we compare monitoring and observability, once upon a time there was a monitoring, but observability is a superset of monitoring. I said superset, and it provides not only high level overviews of the system health, which monitoring anyways does that, but also highly granular insight into the implicit failure modes of the system. That means if you are setting up the observability, that means you are setting up in depth information. You are trying to fetch that you are trying to uncover the deeper information which you might not get through the monitoring. So in addition, an observable system furnishes ample context about its one inner working, unlocking the ability to uncover deeper systematic issues. Monitoring is on the other hand, is best suited to report the overall health of the system and to derive alerts. Okay, so now if you see that here, um, monitoring and observability. So here in monitoring, you have alerting and overview, but in observability, you can debug, you can profile, you can do the dependency and analysis, and you can anticipate the future also, which was missing in monitoring. Now, how do you set up the monitoring? How do you set up the observability? So what you have to do, you have to bring all the testing process, all the best efforts for the verification of the correctness of the software. You need to bring all the best practices of the testing efforts for the applications, and also you have to bring all the predictable failure modes, which is you can call it monitoring, combine it together, and the output which you get it is observability. So you have to work from the testing side of it for the verification of the software and also monitoring. So monitoring systems should address two questions. What is broken and why? Whereas, while observability cover a larger scope, monitoring is mainly used in terms of metrics monitoring. In summary, observability is a property of system. Monitoring is an activity we perform on a system. So if you look at this here, how do we set the hierarchies of the observability? So many data you get it. For example, logging logs which the one which you get it, which you analyze it, you get it from the past. That means it has happened and you are trying to capture that and then you are trying to analyze. Same goes with the traces also. So this information has happened in the past and you are trying to analyze the data, but matrices which you see, which is of the present, like matrices like a CPU, RAM and all stuff like that, which you see in the dashboard, and the process on which you can use the logging, tracing and matrices and to create a signal and stats to predict the future, to detect the future. And this is overall process is called observability. So in that, in simple way, if I say, if you'd like to set up a observability, you have to set up a log analysis process, you have to set up a APM, you have to set up a infra monitoring, you have to have a all sort of visualization in place for the signals and stat, and then you can set up observability. So observability versus monitoring. So here observability gain understanding actively, whereas monitoring consume information passively. Observability ask a question based on hypothesis. Monitoring ask a question based on dashboard. This is the third point is very important and I would like to have your inputs here. Observability built to tame dynamic environments with changing complexity, whereas monitoring built to maintain static environment with little variation. So the question is, what is a dynamic environment and what is a static environment here? Anyone would like to tell me?
Can add server infrastructures on the fly and continue monitoring.
Yep, so some examples. Can you add it?
So let's say earlier we were monitoring for 10 servers,
Mhm.
right? On the fly, you want to add the 11th server.
Mhm.
Will that qualify to be an dynamic
Yeah,
environment?
yeah. That will definitely qualify for the dynamic environment, definitely. But anyone would like to add on top of it better example for dynamic environment? See, monitoring we are doing from last 20-30 years, I think, and we are doing monitoring primarily on the physical servers and then virtual servers. But nowadays, dynamic environment represent what?
Cloud.
Cloud.
Cloud, yes, you can say it till certain extent, but you know what? Nowadays, we do not run application on the cloud. So where do we run?
Serverless environments.
Containers, correct? Containers, Kubernetes,
That
Docker. So here, when I say dynamic environment, and when someone says dynamic environment from last 5 years, actually we mean to say Kubernetes. Because what happens in a Kubernetes, within a 1 second, if you want thousands application, you get it, and you want to reduce to 1,000 to 1, you get it, and 1 to 1,000, you get it, and the time is only 1 second. IP address will change again every time you increase. IP address will remove every time you reduce it. Every time you do not get the same instance, you get a similar instance, you do not get a same instance, same app in Kubernetes and container. So that is where the dynamic environment is. It's changing. IP address is not fixed. How can you monitor it? Right? How can you monitor it? So that is where we don't need a monitoring now, because we are running application in a dynamic environment. So we need something better than before. So observability concept, which become a popular from last few years, is built around the dynamic environment. Yes. So observability preferred by developers of system with variability and unknown permutations, whereas monitoring used by developers of system with little changes and known permutations. So yeah, observability focus on the metrics melt, we call it MELT. M for metrics, E for event, L for logs, and tracing, T for tracing, whereas monitoring focuses on availability, performance and capacity only. So the question is, how do we perform observability? I don't want to do monitoring only, but we want to do the complete observability. So how do we do that? So first thing which you have to do is you have to collect the data, which is called melt. That means you should gather the matrices, you should gather the events, you should gather and collect logs, and then you should gather the traces. So all these four things you are going to gather, and then you'll be able to set up the observability. That means three pillar of observability: matrices, traces, and log. Earlier, we were only focusing on matrices. Now we have to add traces and logs also. Make sense, all of you?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is trace? What is matrices? What is logs? So you guys tell me, what is a trace? What do you understand about the trace? Anyone would like to add it?
So is it a elapsed time between two events or?
Yeah, trace means something like you request something, some applications. Let's say you browsed www.flipkart.com or devopsschool.com or amazon.com. And then what the response you get it between the two endpoint, what is the duration which was spent over the network or application or database or whatever it is. It can be between the two endpoints. That is called trace. So that means the relationship between the events is called trace. You have to monitor the trace. So application component involved during a request with an error is called trace. Matrices, I think we all know that very well. You know throughput, error rate, request duration, CPU, RAM, and all stuff like that. This you can say measurement of an event. So like how measurements means what is the CPU, what is the RAM, what is the throughput, what is the request, what is the number of error rates, and all stuff like that. These are the measurement. And logs, human readable events, which log files can be system Windows log, Linux log, and application logs, network logs, security logs, and many other process logs and events log. It can be anything. So yes, if you want to set up observability, you have to gather all this information from the system. So observability is equal to logging plus monitoring plus tracing plus visualization, and which will help you definitely in many ways. So here, if you see that, again, one more difference is monitoring versus observability. So monitoring tell you, is my system available? Yes, you get it. System available means CPU, RAM, network, this, that, and all, endpoint check and all. You get it available. But how long is my system up? Observability let you ask that one question. Monitoring will tell you, is my system healthy? Whereas observability will help you to find out what is my system doing exactly. Monitoring will tell you when and where did it occur, whereas observability tell you why did it occur, any problem, any incident, any issues. Monitoring will tell you, is my system backed up, and observability tell you what can I do to prevent the issues from recurring. So yeah, these are the things which we have to set up. So some of the slides I'm just skipping it because too much of discussions are there. Uh, hmm. So this is the logs you have. This is the matrix events you have. Metrics. This is some of the example of a matrix. You see disk, memory, database matrix, and all stuff like that. This is the log. This traces you have, uh, and so on. So now the question is why this observability is so hard to implement. Why this is so hard? So because of we have transformed into many things. So earlier, you know that we were running applications on the physical server, then migrate to virtual server, cloud, hybrid, and nowadays we are running with the containers like Docker, Kubernetes, and so on. So not only the platform got changed, architecture of the applications also got changed. So earlier, we had an application which was a monolithic, means everything you have it in one place. That means MS Office, which you have installed in your laptop, is called uh, you know uh, monolithic software. But after that, we migrated when the internet came. Then we started migrating to the browser-based applications like web server, app server, database server, and that architecture we call it service-oriented architecture. But now if you look at this, we have a microservices or oriented architecture. That means there's one software and you have a 300, 400 microservices. Okay, so that kind of architecture you have. So that means each microservices we have their own database. Okay, their own cycle of releases and many other things. So this the kind of evolution we are having. We are changing the technology, we are changing the platform, we are changing the software architectures and all, and too many microservices. And you look at this, how do you monitor that? How do you monitor it? So yep, this is somewhere we have to work on it. So which are the solutions which you have to set up observability? So the solutions, by the way, there are few more solutions which we have, but I'm talking about observability. It's not like one particular problem. For example, Nagios, we have it. I did not mention here. Why? Because Nagios focuses on the infra monitoring. Prometheus focuses on the infra monitoring. So like that. So there are few tools which is only focuses on APM. There are few tools which is only focuses on log monitoring. So I'm not covering that one here. These are the solutions which can help you to set up observability. So name it whatever you want. You can use Datadog, Neuralink, Splunk, Elastic, AppDynamics, Dynatrace, and Grafana. So these all software will help you to set up observability. By the way, let me tell you here, initially when Datadog launched, it was only for the infra monitoring. From last 3 years to 4 years, they have transformed into everything. Same goes with the Neuralink. When Neuralink got introduced, they were in the APM, but now they transform into everything. When you talk about the Splunk, they were into log monitoring, log analysis and all. Elastic also same thing, but they transform into the everything now. Same goes with the App Dynamics, Dynatrace, and Grafana. So Grafana, when they introduce as a dashboard solution. Now they are into everything. Same goes with the Dynatrace also. So now if I go to Dynatrace website here, enter, okay, and now see here, they are having platform. And if you look at this here, see here, look at my screen, infrastructure monitoring. Okay, they have a infrastructure monitoring. They have application and microservices monitoring. That means APM and something like that. Synthetic monitoring, business monitoring, cloud monitoring. They have a security monitoring. So solution for everything. Look at this here, solution for everything they have, and so on. So now this is something kind of, you look at this keyword, all of you can you see my screen, right? All of you?
Yes, Rajesh. Yeah.
Yes. So you see that simplify cloud complexity and innovate faster and more efficiently and more securely with automatic and intelligent observability. And this is what I wanted to tell you. That means using Dynatrace, you can literally monitor, and you will not monitor, you can set up observability. That means you can set up infra monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, application monitoring, I mean APM monitoring, log monitoring, digital UX monitoring means synthetic and RAM and all stuff like that. All this thing, complete solutions you get it nowadays. And this is a SaaS login. That means this Dynatrace, you don't have to install it. Just get started with cloud and stuff like that. So what is the objective? In short, and simple way, you have to set up observability using Dynatrace. So when someone says, "Hey," I'll put it in a simple context. Actually, probably if you have got confused with my slides. So simple way. This is my server. Okay, and this is my server, and it can be container also. I'm not discussing the container world right now, but this is my server, this is the IP address. I want infra, means server information. I want, this is called infra monitoring. Server information means infra matrices I want. There is one application installed, Apache, Tomcat, Java, MySQL, and all these matrices also we want. And this is also considered as a infra monitoring. Okay, now there is one application running in the Tomcat, and here the traffic is coming from from outside. So this, whatever the request you are getting from here and the response is being generated, this trace I want to be captured also, and that's called trace. Trace means response time I want to cover. That's the second thing. Now you know what, this Java generate have some logs, Tomcat have some log, Apache have some log, Linux have some log, MySQL have some logs. This also I want it. So infra I want it, trace I want it, log I want it, and then synthetic monitoring. Some robots is checking the endpoint of your application. That is also synthetic monitoring I want. So everything I want to gather it and send it to the Dynatrace, and from there we will analyze it and see that which is the threshold, will create alerts and dashboard. So it's like this. Are you understanding, all of you? Hello?
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah. So this is the objective of your session. So I can help you in any of these tools which is mentioned here. Apart from that, I can help you into Prometheus also, Nagios also. So over the period of time, I have worked in the different projects. So this is something what we have. Now, coming back to Dynatrace. So let's get started. So here, Dynatrace. And yeah, so now let's talk about the Dynatrace. This is a official slide of Dynatrace. So this is the leading software intelligence platform to accelerate digital transformation, simplify cloud complexity, monitoring, and all stuff like that. Innovate faster collaboration efficiently. So, yep, I'll just, so you can look at this here. This observability market is growing, and this is the kind of areas where they are targeting. These are their clients. They have it more than 50,000 clients we have globally, and they are focusing on almost everything. So basically here Dynatrace says, hey, all in one. So you know what, when we say all in one, that means, you know what, they have a only one agent, and they call it one agent, and who is doing everything. Yes, the one agent which is responsible for infra monitoring, APM monitoring, log monitoring, I mean, not synthetic monitoring, everything they have it, everything. So that's what they call it, all in one, multiple modules together. Unified data platform, explainable at the AI at the core. So these are the things we have. Now, you know what? When Dynatrace was introduced, it was introduced as a APM platform initially, and after that they have transformed them into everything. Okay, so deepest APM observability at scale, designed for both DevOps and production, extended value with AI assistant and continuous automation and stuff like that. Now, infrastructure monitoring is also in place. Just as said, every tools which will do infra, log, APM, everything, and server logs also. You can see that you can monitor using that. So server logs, network, and container observability unified via common data model. Extend, yes, you can extend automation and intelligence of full stack APM to non application services. Or also using the Dynatrace, you can consolidate all the tooling system which you required to set up observability, simplify operations, and improve collaborations. Again, here,
Hey, Rajesh, big
yes.
thing, right? What is explainable AI?
Explainable AI means what they did at the SaaS-based software, what they're offering it. They have combined, for example, I'll put it in this way, simple way. Let's say you got one error with APM, and APM it states that response time is less than 10 seconds, where your the threshold, which we call it SLO, which was only 2 seconds. So now you'd like to know why this particular trace has response time for 10 seconds. So while working with a Dynatrace, if you go to the UI, then you'll say, okay, this is the trace, this has occurred in this particular server, and this trace has become because has introduced because of multiple. These are the services, these are the infrastructure, these are the logs, these are the synthetics, everything you can get it at one place, and that is called AI ops. That means they have automated. You don't have to go to multiple places. Everything you can get at one UI. What is the problem? What is the logs of that? Where is the problem? Why this problem is coming? And how can you fix it? Everything you can get at one place. Are you understanding?
Yeah. So basically, it'll learn the data and suggest what could potentially might go wrong or might have gone wrong.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so here, yes, connect platform directly to digital business outcome. So digital business, when we say they have used lots of complicated keyword actually, which could have been easier. Business, digital business, when we say basically you can monitor and you can set up observability for the key business transactions. Okay, which will impact your organizations. So here enable user experience optimization across channel, mobile, web, and IoT. When I say user experience means what? So here I just said if you have to set up a observability, so for that you need to monitor the user experience. User experience means primarily we call it a three part under the user experience. One is a trace. That means you want to capture the response time. Second one, you want to have a synthetic where you are checking the endpoints and through the network and all stuff like that. And third thing, you are checking the RAM. RAM means real user monitoring through the browser. So these three things you can combine together where the Dynatrace enable the user experience optimization across the channel, like whether the experience from the mobile user, the website user, or the IoT devices users are consistent across the geography in spite of multiple ISPs and multiple devices, multiple browser. Is it consistent or not? So all these things you can get it done with the help of a Dynatrace. Apart from that, outside in understanding on how the entire cloud stack is delivering against the expected outcome. So you can monitor the cloud in simple way, automatically surfaces answer insight for improved services, conversion, revenues, and all everything. So these all business transactions you can monitor and see that whether it's as per your expectations or not. So yep, uh, uh, everything they have combined. So if you look at this digital business analytics, digital experience, which I said US, application performance management, which is like traces, infrastructure log monitoring, and everything they have put it up together at one platform. So this is something I'll just ignore it. There's so much of things. Yeah. So how do you automate? So Dynatrace you can automate through some of the DevOps tool like a Chef, Puppet, and Jira, some of the business automation tool and stuff like that. So that anyways, I'll just ignore it because of too much of things. So yep. So what you want? So there is one platform which is called Dynatrace, where you have all the sort of metrics, traces, logs through APM, AIOps, legacy, network, infrastructure, log, and digital experience. Every data you have it at one place, and you can fix the problem and stuff like that. So some of the things which is a managerial stuff, I'll just ignore it. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to start doing some setup for infra monitoring. So I had a account here. Let me check that account is still active or not. And so Chandra, can you just pause this recording for some time so till we get account?